is smart enough to know that something about the door handle is the magic that causes the door to open or close. But he doesn't really know that it's like the action of twisting the doorknob. So he stretches up. He doesn't have to jump. He's big enough that he doesn't have to jump. He stretches up and he just taps the front of it and then jumps down and like expectantly looks at the door, hoping that like it's a motion sensor or something that would have caused it to open. And then he gets upset and meows really loudly at me. So like my turn. Like it's the magic touch of me. Now he's on the chair underneath the table, and there's no good ways of getting a camera on him, so I'm going to turn that off right now. I renamed the file so I didn't delete it this time by accident. So tomorrow we can get that uploaded and get this article, which we are done with. So that's good. Let's go ahead and move. Let's see. So I think we're just good to go with that. So that's multiple routers. We're ready for... I keep on playing with the Windows mouse, and I don't want that. Your cat doesn't yet know how to open the doors. You have handles that just need to be jumped on. Not looking forward to the day she knows how to do this. It, like, depending upon the cat, it could be really fast. It took... So I've done a couple little tricks with Zilby, sort of like, you know, to try to keep him engaged. One of them is the... we for a while we did the paw trick. So it's like, okay, before he gets his meal, or a treat or anything else, he like has to give a paw for like shake. And he learned that, like, it took a while before like the first one got it, but like I'd say within a week easily he got it. And like we haven't done it for a long time. He'll still, like, if you every once in a while like don't give him food right away, he'll be like, is it this thing again? And like he'll try, like, you know, tapping your hand with his paw. Now we have a button that like says food when he presses it, and he knows that button really well, a little bit too well sometimes, I think. Oh, we're starting to do middleware. Okay, so I'm thinking that actually before we even do a like validate data, incoming data using middleware, perhaps we should just do like what middleware. So I'm going to add another section to this. Middleware. Ooh, I don't need that. You're heading to bed, surely fall asleep in the next 30 minutes. I hope so. I think last time you mentioned that, I then saw you like an hour later in chat. So have a good sleep. Hopefully you get enough of it. I know it's pretty late for you right now. And hopefully you have a good day tomorrow. All right. So I got that. So we, I guess, like finished article. I want to touch. Okay, this is gonna be Axum Middleware. Oh wait, that's not how I do it. Oh, and I wanna do the code thing. Oh, right. We should probably do something like this, right? Like we have code video. So the code for this lesson can be found on GitHub at that. Okay, so we're going to copy template to, this is going to be Axum Middleware. So middleware is a function that can be run before, after, I guess like in the middle of the routes. I think you are, well, I mean, there's more viewers here, but in a way, oh, wait, no, wait, yes, you are. I have the previous chat open, so I'm like, oh, look, other people are here. But it's like, no, that's from this morning stream. I didn't refresh the chat, so. Middleware is a function that can be run in the middle of, or I guess like run before, after, and in between, and or in between routes. Actually, I don't know if we even need that. Okay. Objectives. Describe what middleware is. Create a simple logging, or I guess like create a simple, create a middleware function that oh geez, like there's so many parts of I keep on forgetting how like middleware is surprisingly complex. This is gonna be a lot longer than I like. We're starting to get to that point where like the lessons are getting more longer. They're getting longer and more complex. They're not getting more complex. They're getting more complicated. I'm trying to use the right type of terminology. Sylvie, you want to hang out up here, or are you just... He just wants to stare at the door and hope that somebody opens it. Okay, so just describe what middleware is. Create a middleware function that... I guess just create a middleware function. Other things that are important to do in middleware. We want to add an extension in middleware. Would love it if I didn't do a raid tonight, especially if you're alone. Are you I usually do raids if I have more than 10 viewers. But yeah, if you don't want to do, are you keeping on the screen? Is that why? So it would wake you up? Because if that's the case, then yeah, I'd be happy to not do a raid for you. I just got a phone call. They left a 4-second long voice message. Cool. Well, that's not helpful. I just listened so I wouldn't like to be woken up by another voice. Got it. Excellent. I will try to remember to not do a raid at the end of the stream today. So you can others here, don't force others to not have raid. I mean, are you sure? I'm okay with doing that. Like especially just like once every once in a while. You know, it'd be really cool if so there's functions we can run, right? Like we could write a script to mute audio on a computer. I couldn't do it from here. Like I can't just like run a code and say like, hey, your stream is muted, or like your browser is muted. But I bet there's like something we can do that would then like, hey, it's like rating, mute the screen, mute everything. That would be cool to set up. Then you can have your cake, and I can have my cake and eat it too, something like that. I'm not sure where the cakes go. I don't know who's eating the cake at that point. Okay, so add an extension in middleware. We want to extract the body in middleware, which means we also need to put the body back together. Oh, you could put a badge. What's that? Oh, listening only. Interesting. Well, that's cool. I don't think I created that badge, so that must be a Twitch badge. Okay, put the body back together in middleware. What other things in middleware do we care about? Describe. Did I already do the difference between I think I did, but route layer? Yeah, I did. Okay, so we already have a difference between a layer and a route layer. So I don't need to do that here. Oh, compression, the biggest thing. That actually probably would help out a lot because you're not having to get audio. I'm sorry, video. You get audio, you're not having to get video. I think that these are the big things, right? So describe what middleware is, create a middleware function, add an extension in middleware, extract the body in middleware, put the body back together in middleware. Oh, compression for about uses, middleware uses? Like extracting, like decompressing. Yeah. Well, I think like part of that would be part of the body, right? It's like if you've got a package coming in, it's like if part of the body was in some kind of compression or something that needed to be converted to a different type. Compressing for sending over the wire, standard HTTP. Yeah, do we do that ourselves or does Tower do that for us? I'm not You don't think Tower does that? Oh yeah, for like gzipping. Oh, gzipping and sending out. Well, there is, I believe that there's some middleware that I think there's some Tower middleware that already exists that you can just use for that. Tower HTTP compression. Oh, it's part of Tower HTTP. Okay. Middleware that compresses response bodies. Okay. So this is really interesting. So I'm going to do middleware here. Actually, you know what? So I don't think I need this running middleware nested router because I think we already sort of like covered that before. We've already covered extensions too, haven't we? Because I think I have like both state and passing state into route handlers. So I think I have in state, they have both, right? So it's almost like, so middleware, then like just like a validating, so a lesson on just how to like do something, like how to validate data using middleware. And then maybe another lesson on middleware, which is like using third-party middleware. Which would be something like that one. Also authentication, sanitizing, basically all of the above. Yeah, exactly. And so this one is going to be a sort of like a walkthrough of, hey, we're going to create a validation middleware for like, you know, an app of some kind. I think, okay, in order to create any of those, well, okay, in order to do custom middleware, this is, I think, all we need, right? Because like then the rest of it is just logic that you use within like the equivalent of a route handler. So access state in middleware, access extensions in middleware. Your LS clone now has a -R recursive, L and A flags, and it sorts by name. Nice. That sounds really nice. Okay, I am curious how Axum talks about middleware. And what its definition of it is. You have to add a few more flags for Friday evening. You should be able to do it. Yeah, you have time. There are several different ways to write middleware for Axum. Okay, middleware. Well, so this does not tell you what middleware is. It just says, hey, you can use tower middleware. Okay, how about this one? Ooh, the other one has, Oh, and this is from Tokyo, which is... I don't like these as definitions for middleware. What okay, I'm curious. What did Express do? Let's take a look at some of the other APIs frameworks and see like what they talked about. Okay, see, this is a little bit better. Middleware functions are functions that have access to the request object, the response object, and then so I guess like obviously this is very specific for Express, but the general idea is right. And an application's request response cycle. The next function is a function. Okay, so it's yeah, we have the next also. Middleware functions can perform the following tasks: execute any code, make changes to request and response objects, end the request response cycle, call the next middleware in a stack. I mean, that kind of is exactly what it is. But this is a little bit too specific to Express. Middleware in the context of distributed applications is software that provides services beyond those provided by the... Okay, no, that's not. I'm not thrilled with any of these definitions. I wonder if I'm gonna need to... I might need to find my, like, do some whiteboarding stuff. Because I'm not seeing any good definitions here, and this is... The best way that I know how to describe it is probably through a whiteboard. You know what? I've been avoiding it. I'm going to need to add in the ability to handle images in the LMS. Okay, so like as an author, want to add an image to an article. Yeah. I don't have that ability at all right now, which is like, it's not too terribly bad. What I would probably need to do is like figure out some way to like do an upload, get a URL. So like basically I need like an S3 bucket. I need to set up some more like a CloudFront server to cache them. Things like that. Or I need to set up some kind of like third-party image hosting service that's like private, which most of those cost money. And I'm trying to bootstrap this to begin with until I have enough money to cover those services, and then I can start like, you know, paying for the more fun ones, the good ones. S3 will be good enough to get started though. Okay, so let's see if I can I guess I could also manually, okay, how would I describe this? So middleware. Do I even want to use something like this? I don't know. I don't like the pen in here. Oh, there's no, okay, so this is not a drawing app. So this is not a good, well, I guess I could replace this by like, okay, so here we go. We start with you. Like a request comes in. And a request, let's say the request is coming like this. Somewhere I have a Wacom, like an old school, not like one of the really fancy ones with the screen on it, but I have like one of those Wacom tablets that allow me to just control the mouse with a pen. I don't think that I can do that with a tablet or my phone or anything else like that, which would be really nice. So I will have to find that sometime. I have no clue where that is. Well, you know what? Might be in the other room, but I don't want to open the door because Zilby will escape out and go bother my wife. And so I don't want to do that right now. You can drag and drop the image onto a GitHub Markdown field and then copy the link. You don't even have to post a comment. Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, I can just manually upload it to an S3 bucket. Get a link to it. Oh, no, I see what you mean. Like, just throw that into any GitHub repo. As long as it's not private, I can, like, basically it's like free image hosting. Unless somebody hits it way too often. All right, how do I want to represent this? So like we have, let's say we have like a route handler. So we probably want like, let's say we're doing the quotes again. Oh, and an issue comment also works. Oh, I hadn't even thought about that. That's even trickier. That's tricksy. That's awesome. I would never even think about abusing the system like that, but it works so well. Okay, so let's say we do like a get. So we have a get to slash no, this would be like a post. So a post to slash quotes. So we're going to create a we are going to create a we're going to create a quote and like a quote handling thing. And so we have the like the request life cycle. So at the beginning we hit the server, which comes in like, let's say here, and then we're going to have middleware. So we can have like validation middleware. We could have like potentially authentication middleware. And then we would have the route handler. Bansi, hello. How are you doing today? That's advanced pour. You'll write that down. It is such a good idea too. Like I've never thought about like hack, like, you know, it's like, it's a true hack. Like it's just like hacking together and just like, okay, I just need this to be done quickly. I don't really care about it. Let's just throw it in there. I don't need all of the, it's like a life hack. It's an engineering. It's not even engineering, because anybody can create a GitHub account, regardless if you're a programmer or not, and just like use that. It's like I tell a lot of people that aren't developers, or actually I just tell a lot of new developers that like once the longer you stay developers and the more developers you get to know, the more free hacks that you learn for like how to do stuff without having to pay very much money or any money at all, is like just keeps on increasing over and over and over again. And you'd never need like, okay, do I need to pay for like, you know, what is it? GoDaddy? It's like, nope. There are so many better ways of doing everything. And now we have a image. This is quite useful. Sometimes you also use Discord file sharing and copy the links. Yeah, that, I mean, I guess that works too. Although like Discord sometimes, don't they make you be a member of the Discord group? With a good compression ratio, you can get quite a bit of data for free. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Oh, you don't need to be. Okay, I never really tried it, so I always just assumed. But you know what they say about assuming. You can always also share other files from GitHub. That's true, because you can throw, if you just create a README file or literally any file in a public repo, I mean, as long as it's a small enough file, there you go. So let's say we have validation. Now, what's interesting is that, you know what? Let's also throw in the logger here. So we have like a logger, validate, authenticate, Okay, we can have our route handler, and then we could even have logger be here as well. Like it could be in we can put it can be in multiple places. Although maybe that's not. Maybe we can do 404 catcher. Although there's a special one just for that, isn't there? There is a GraphQL API to upload files for GitHub. I can't remember if it's, were they weren't deprecating that. It's like, it felt like it got a little bit harder to use after the command line tool was introduced, but like I stopped even using it. Like I haven't used their API ever since the CLI got introduced because it's just so good. What's something that we can put afterwards? Like what's the type of validation that you put like after another route handler? Because there's an error catcher, but I don't know if I care about that. A logger could be any of those. That's my brain to stop giving you ideas to speak about and then to sleep for good. So, good luck. I guess like Albert's brain, please let Albert go to sleep. He needs you tomorrow. I assume it's a he. Sorry if that's wrong. I don't think I actually know. I what what's middleware that like we would want to put after everything? Like we can do it. I just don't know what purpose would be there. Or like I'm trying to come up with an example for it and I can't. So like I'm just not going to put it there. Okay, so basically this. We want multiple middleware type things and we can basically just log out in each of these. They can each have access to the body. Okay, so content. What is middleware? I should probably say like in the context. Wait, I can. Can I do that? I'd actually. We should check it to see if there's any value in like creating a middleware ahead of time. Oh, sorry. At the end, after all the routes. So request being created and the handler being called. Middleware is a great way to is a great place to put code that doesn't quite belong in the okay, so it doesn't quite belong in the route handler, but also is required for like for each request. No joke, you've been thinking for a good few minutes. It's like it's possible. Oh, how much free stuff you can leverage from GitHub. GitHub is yeah, I hadn't even really considered that, but like it's such a generic thing that like, well, I guess like anything that has any kind of face free open user facing site can become a repository of just stuff, and you can just throw things in there, right? Let's see what else. Oh, I mean, like most, like what, like Trello, Atlassian, like most Atlassian projects, like all of them usually have some kind of public facing thing that you can like, you know, show off. You could just use that to get access to whatever things. Imagine running registry on GitHub. So I think that it got shut down, but for a while somebody had created an npm project for Node that turned GitHub into a CDN. So instead of like in your instead of saying, okay, go to this like you Git address and then it like sort of downloads the files from there, it actually just went to the raw file location proper. And I believe that it actually got popular enough that GitHub did request that it be shut down, because I couldn't find it again after I went like searching for it a while later. But I think the trick that it used behind the scenes is absolutely still possible. And even run serverless processing on GitHub Actions. There's quite a few systems that allow you to run free Lambda functions on, like, you know, they give you like, oh, 3 free random Lambda functions. You can definitely just create images and like host them there too. Oh, run serverless processing on GitHub Actions. You can on that, but they do tend to get really slow if you hit them often enough. I've noticed that. Like if you're not, I don't think that if you're in a paying customer, how they can slow things down quite a bit. And also you only have so many free action. What is it, like 10,000 minutes per month? Something like that, which is a lot for an open, like a relatively small project. If you're not using like automated testing like every hour, you can basically get by without ever having to pay for GitHub Actions minutes. But if you did that, you would probably run out really quickly. Even distribute between multiple GitHub projects. That would be a very troll course. Can you imagine like a course on how to it'd be like recreate AWS with GitHub Actions. Stacking, hello. How are you doing today? CocoaPods and Homebrew are both run off GitHub, and GitHub has GitHub pages for website hosting. None of this is really new. Oh yeah, absolutely. That would be a really cool article. That would be a really cool. I feel like it would be a really cool, April 1st type project to do. It is like, okay, I recreated S3 Lambda, ECS, and like, I don't know, one or two other systems, all in GitHub Actions for free. Yeah, none of that is new. I think the running other people's code in your GitHub Actions as like a Lambda function would be new. Or is that CocoaPod? No, CocoaPods is the what is it? Windows version of Homebrew, right? Or am I thinking of something else? Oh, it's the iOS version of NPM. Okay, I haven't really done much iOS programming, so that explains why I'm not aware of that. Yeah, I think, oh, maybe it's chocolatey. That's what I was thinking of, chocolatey. Oh, and Cocoa Pods, I forgot. For a while, all of the like interface stuff in Mac was like Cocoa based. I remember that now. I forgot that. Is Mac like graphical stuff still Cocoa, or did they change it? I've not really been paying attention to like Mac programming for a while. Contain your excitement because we all love code challenges, but we have a new version of Advent of Code. Ooh. Oh, it's from Shuttle? Is that the Rush Shuttle? Christmas Code Hunt. I think that is, oh yeah, that is Shuttle.rs. Shuttle's Christmas Code Hunt, inspired by Advent of Code. Daily challenges, okay. I won't have time to work on this, but it'll be fun. I am like, I want to go and like do all the Advent of Codes someday. I am like so far behind. These are going to be like taken up so fast. Rules coming soon. Okay. Well, that could be cool. We might do one of the challenges just to sort of see what it's like. Oh, it's going to be 16 challenges will be released each weekday between December 1st and the 22nd. So it's not every day. That's interesting. So Advent of Code, if you're not familiar with it, is a, let's see, this is 2023. Can I like change that? Can I go to one of the old ones? How do I look at the old ones? Maybe 2022. Yeah, there it goes. Okay. This is what Advent of Code looks like. And every single, so there's 25 challenges. Didn't they used to be like a Christmas tree that it did? I guess it's all ASCII art every year. And if you go in and it's like it's an entire story, it's like a plot. And the idea is that for every challenge, there's 2 levels. So it's really 50 challenges, 2 released each day. And the first one, and they sometimes build on each other. So if like you miss one or you don't get one, you don't want to try the next one until you're good to go. It was a star 1 year. It was a star 1 year. You need to zoom out. Oh, it was a star. That zooming out didn't help me. I still don't get it. Fit One Health, hello. How are you doing today? Am I building my course? Also, hello. How are you doing today? But yeah. So, anyways, this is 50 challenges. Fairly hard. And I'm not a very good puzzle solver, as it were. I have a lot of which is strange because like I would think that I would be better at it after doing Twitch for so long, but I guess I don't. It's a different skill set that I don't practice very often. You got a reply from Consensus. Nice. Can you give me a link to your courses? Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Here. I should make this a command. There's a link to the LMS, as it were. The only course that is purchasable right now is the SQLX Rust course. So this course basically has it costs $5 US, and it goes through all of these things. So not a very long course, but we'll sort of like go through and setting up SQLX. It's framework agnostic, so it doesn't really do it in the context of Axum or Actix Web. And currently I'm working on this Axum course, but it's you can see like I've already got these articles done for it. The plan is, let me see. The plan is all of these are remaining to go. So a lot. You'd rather be kicked in the head by a horse multiple times. I mean, after you get kicked in the head by a horse multiple times, maybe you want to do the challenges, because I mean, that's a pretty severe concussion there, and concussions can change personalities. So do I work as a Rust developer in some company? So do you count Brooks Builds, my own company, doing these live streams? Because if that's the case, then yes. Otherwise, absolutely not. I'm a solo web developer for the company I'm working at my day job. And that means that, I mean, I could just do things in Rust, but they would not be appreciative of like, well, rather I would like the ability to like take vacations and do other stuff in the future. And if I did that, they would literally have no one who could support any of that code. And that would basically tie me down. I don't want to do that. It feels like worse for me than for them even. Well, I mean, think about it from if it one of the things I always suggest to anybody is try to make yourself more easily replaceable at your company. It's totally counterintuitive, but the more you do that, the higher chance you have being promoted is. The higher chance of you being able to go and take a vacation whenever you want. And that's mostly because if you get tied into like you're the only person who can do this, sure, you might have some kind of resemblance of job security, but also you've secured yourself from being promoted too, or being able to go on vacations without being on call during the vacation. Like you don't want to do that. Don't tie yourself down to a company. And also, like, it's not like the company would just let you go if they really needed to anyways. They'll do that even if it's like gonna hurt them. How long have I been doing Rust? How long have I been doing Rust? I want to say since 2018, but I think I took like a year or two break in between there. Nice of you to be honest, but I'm out. In my opinion, I'd be on call even on vacation. But of course, I mean, it's also like if you're a solo developer and you're the only developer, I mean, yeah, you're going to be on call regardless. If you've got a team and the team is properly cross-trained where they can do stuff, then they should be able to handle that. If you're in management, there's like a lot. That's usually more of like, okay, well, you might be more on call. But that's the sacrifice that you make for the teams. They don't have to be on call, that kind of thing. Some people call it the bus factor. I've now recently started calling it vacation factor. It's the number of people that you can lose on a team before you're in trouble. And if the answer is 1, then the team is in trouble. Okay, so we're gonna start. Okay, let's create. You're a somewhat senior developer. I honestly want to become something better with a higher pay. Of course, my idea was to learn Rust and start doing web services there instead of Node.js. I'm still crystallizing your vision, to be honest. Okay, yeah, just having any, I mean, pretty much having anything like what I guess maybe before I give it up, what's your skills other than Node.js? Like, do you have any other languages under your belt or in your toolkit? Oh, I wanted, this is not where I want to put it. This is where I want to put it. You have a lot though. This is your GitHub. Sure, let's take a look. I feel like Rust might bring me some nicer opportunities if you learn it. Not that much. Not that much of a low-level programming. Instead, we're looking at backend web services. Yeah, I mean, Rust, the backend web services in Rust are getting really good. If you call yourself a senior dev, you should be able to pick up any language in a few hours. Yeah, I would agree with that. Like the basics of it, Rust can take maybe a little bit longer to get further in, but like getting like hello worlds and like getting like something basic going, especially like even in Axum or Actix Web, shouldn't take like as terribly too long. At least enough for you to know if you like it and you like the Rust style. Oh yeah, does it it shows isn't there something where it shows like most used languages? Yeah, so like JavaScript, CSS, HTML, HCL? I'm not familiar with HCL. SAS, shell. Okay. So a lot of web. I mean, yeah, pretty much anything that I usually recommend to students, like have one, like a scripting language, have a compiled language, have a strongly typed language, have a duck type language, something like that. They're all good. Oh, Terraform, HashiCorp language. Oh, I'm not familiar with that. I skipped Terraform and I went straight to Pulumi, which is just TypeScript. Agree, but nobody wants junior devs in Rust. Got to sell myself as a senior with at least. So think about it from the other direction. Like come at it from not the I'm a Rust developer with only a few months of experience in Rust. Come at it from I'm a senior software developer, engineer, whatever. I have a lot of web experience and I know Rust. Like think of it from that point of view. And so you're not selling yourself as a Rust developer, you're selling yourself as a software engineer, or you're selling yourself as a web engineer or developer with Rust. Yeah, I call it the I call it the walking around the table. So a while ago, I was in a competitive pool league, and by pool I mean like billiards, like with the cue sticks and holes on the side, and you. So I remember one of my mentors that I was the coach that I had. I guess not really coach, the team lead. So when I went up to go shoot, I'm like, okay, well, this sucks. Like my options are really bad. I just have to go after this one. And so he called a timeout. And he's like, okay, let's walk around the table. And so I walk around, and by walking around, I look at the problem, which is all the balls laid out on a table in a different context. Because now I see it from different angles. I'm like, oh, actually, from this angle, I didn't really see it before, but I can actually play a different type of shot, and it's easier. And even if I miss, it will leave me in like a more defensible position. So that's a better way to go in it. And so like that's the same thing I think here, right? Is like, okay, we can talk about I want a Rust job, so I'm a Rust developer, or really let's like shift our frame of reference around, and it's the exact same information, right? It just given in a different context or a different order. It's such a fun way of thinking about things. So yeah, I'm glad I could help with that. All right, we need a bunch of stuff, don't we? We need no job cares what language you got your title with. They only care about the title. I mean, I would go so far as to say that no job hiring manager. Well, okay. HR cares about your job title. Hiring managers, when they're hiring, care about your job title. But once you're hired, all they care about is, can you deliver value to the organization? And like so often it's like, can you do this? And it's like, you've never done it before. And the job is, yeah, I can learn it and do it really quickly. I don't know if I would go that far stacking to say like, if you're senior in all languages, but I do like the idea of thinking, okay, you're a senior in programming, which is like, you might not know that language, but you can learn it really fast. Or at least you can learn what you need to. You can learn what you need to learn really fast. All right, what do we need to do? We need to do between Tokyo. Do I want the accent? Do I want the headers here? Yeah, let's get the headers here. So Axum Tokyo, let's not, oh, we can do tracing. Okay, so we can do tracing and create our own tracing. Okay, so it's tracing subscriber. But I'm not going to add tower HTTP because we're going to create our own logger. That's one of the reasons most companies ask for X amount of years and functional knowledge in a couple languages. It is, okay, so yeah, I do want somebody to, like, when I hire somebody at my day jobs, when I was a hiring manager, I wanted, like, if you were a mid-level or junior, I wanted you to have, like, X amount of experience with, like, to be able to, like, that I can trust that you know, like, the basics of a language and be able to pick up new things relatively quickly. I usually don't care about the X number of years, I do care about like certain languages. Like if I want like a web developer, I want somebody like know at least a little bit about JavaScript. But if I'm going for like a Vue, so we did Vue at our as our front end framework of choice. I wouldn't care if you actually had Vue experience. I just wanted you to have like React, Angular, Vue, some front end framework experience. So I can at least know that you understand like what a component is. And like the rest of it, you can learn really fast because the way we do stuff like is going to be different anyways. For a senior developer, the more senior you are, ironically, the less important it is that you know the exact language that we're looking for. It's kind of ironic, isn't it? So let's do our quotes again. So we'll have a quotes here. So maybe like should I do my, we can do the nesting thing here again too. And like do another take. So something like that. Let's, I guess like in middleware. So in routes, we can create a middleware function, mod.rs, and then I want also, the more you know, the less you do. I think it's the more you, oh, you know what? Okay. The more you understand, the less you need to know because you can know it really fast. None of these things make any sense out of context, do they? It's like weird, fun quotes that don't mean anything. Yeah, let's call it logit. Okay, so I think this gives me a lot of stuff. So let's see. We're going to start with creating our router. Nope, we're going to start with a library. Oh, .env. That's what I need. Nope, that's not what I wanted. I wanted that one. Okay, so I get the address. I want to serve. I guess we just serve it then. I think that's the next thing, right? Fit one health. You're out. Good luck with the course. Thank you for your knowledge and time. Well, thank you very much for hanging out, and have a great rest of your day. Router. That's what I'm forgetting. Okay. So we got all that stuff. That's happy. We need to exit out and get touch ENV. You know what? I did not want to put it there. Okay, I wonder if I can do this. I want to run a command. Run shell command. The shell command is gonna be. I wonder if I can put it into quotes. I want random port. No, okay. So random. Oh, wait. Oh, it won't let me. Okay. Random port. Pipe to PB copy. Oh, it didn't put into my paste buffer. Oh, random port command not found. Yeah, it's random port. Oh, it must not have my normal shell because this is a function in my shell. That's too bad. So Okay, so now you're running. We should do a tracing. Okay, server running on port 2600. Okay, so we got all that. Let's see. So that's running. Let's get the source router quotes. No, I probably want mod first. Alpha Bra, hello. How are you doing today? You're going to learn this when you finally learn Rust. You're interested in APIs and HTTP. Nice. Have you ever done one in not Rust, or is it like you want to learn Rust and then learn this type of stuff? You're on chapter 3 of the book. Nice. What's on chapter 3? What's a cool thing you've learned? It's just data types, control flow, and functions. The most interesting thing. Yeah, I'm curious, like, what I'm curious as people go through and learn Rust, like what they're pretty much any programming language, like what like stands out to them, what's like super fun and what's interesting, what's it's like new, like how people learn. I love like seeing that. Oh, you don't need to be public. Learning the syntax is cool. I can't pick out the most interesting thing, but something that confused me was from chapter 2 was the dot notation. Didn't seem well explained in a book. And oh, and also Vin, hello. How are you doing today? Lifetimes have been tough to grasp. Yeah, lifetimes Lifetimes definitely are one of the things that we generally don't need to think about in other languages, even though they're there. But like in Rust, for like sometimes forces us to understand and program with. Dot notation. Oh, good. You're giving me an example. So like IO standard in read line. Okay, so like dot read line, you guess dot expect. Okay, so something like this, right? Like notice how I have this like router new dot nest and then throw this in here. Is like a method upon a method. Here's kind of. Let me see if I can explain it in a way like to like twist it around and make it a little bit easier to understand. Yes, exactly. Stacking's got it. Here's another way for us to do this. Okay. See what we got here. Router new returns this router for me. And then I have this router this router variable, and then I run nest on it. So that means that there is there's a function named nest in the router object that I have here. But there is no difference if I just delete this and I don't have like the let router have it. I just have like the router new. I don't actually delete the router part. Ah, come on. Work with me, fingers. Okay, not all the way, just to there. Not add more semicolons. Okay, so think of it like the same thing then, right? So router new returns an object, which is an implementation of router. And in the router, it has a function named nest. And so whatever is returned by this, I can now call nest on that. And so this is what we call method chaining. It's basically, or dot notation or anything like that. It's basically just saying, okay, like think of it like order of operations in math. Like this happens first. So the compiler is going to come and say, like, okay, let me just take this little bit. I'm going to ignore the rest of this line, this little bit of the line, and turn it into the router. And then it's going to then say, okay, well, now that I've done that, let me check to see, okay, now we're going to run the nest method off of there. And if you have like 10 dots on it, that's all it's doing. It's like one at a time, just sort of figuring out what it is and then going from there. And it's a nice way for us to not have to like assign every single one of those to a variable and then just, you know, call the next thing off of there. Does that help? Somewhat? Okay. If there's further questions about that, let me know. I'll be happy to do my best to answer. In the above example, how does it work? So the one you have where it's IO standard in. So let's take a look at this. So I need a... Okay, so let's go through this. And what can be helpful is to tab these down. I know that sometimes Rust Analyzer really wants us to have them all in one line. But let's think of it like this. So IO standard in, what is that? Well, that's the standard in function, right? We can actually go take a look at that. Let's go find the actual documentation page in the standard library for standard in. And I want this function standard in, right? So that gives us this standard in object. Does that mean you're importing standard in from the IO library? Yeah. So this IO, so if I'm like this IO where it's like IO : standard in, we can replace that. If I say like use standard in standard, oh, it's IO standard in, I don't need this part anymore, and I can just do standard in. So we're using IO. Now is IO off of standard? It's standard IO. I think I actually have to do standard IO. I don't remember anymore. Yeah, okay, standard IO. So basically it's like, okay, standard IO, I want to make this available to me. So I bring this into basically the scope of this file. So now I have access to this function here. So I call standard in, and this gives me a standard. This gives me this. I now have access to a standard in, like an implementation of standard in. So I'll just put that there. So now that I have that, I want to call read line off of it. So let's go find, there should be a read line in here, right? So if we scroll down enough, we'll see on the left, here's the read line method. So I'm now going to call read line off of this. And that is going to lock this handle, reads a line of input, appending it to the specified buffer. Okay, so it's going to do that. And it's going to return a result of usize, but also like put whatever into this string. So guess. So I need to have a guess here. I don't have one, right? So let's create that. So we start with an empty string. And we pass a mutable reference of the guess into here. So run the readline method on the above object. Now, what does it return? It returns a result. So expect is now going to be run on the return object, which is a result. So if we go take a look at result, we can see that on here, we really, like, there's a bunch of things we can run. There's not really much that shows on this page, does it? That's not really helpful. I guess if I click on one of those other things, it helps out a lot more. So there's going to be an expect on here. There that is. So expect is basically returns the thing that's inside or crash. So run the expect method on the above result. This crashes with a message if the result is an error. Notice how I'm doing like result, because the result of the read line method is a result. The result of the standard in function is a standard in object. Does this help? Basically, whatever is returned, so this is the rule of thumb here. Whatever is returned from this thing is now immediately available for me to use without having to assign it to a variable. I can just use it. All I have to do is this dot, and then I can just do something with it. Result is a data type. Result's a data type. So it's actually like in Rust. I don't think you've gotten to results yet in Rust. They're part of the enums. I think that's coming up fairly soon though. You know, a tiny bit of enums. Okay, so it's basically a special enum. Yeah, I can see that. Enums take a little while to get used to. It's part of the type system, but don't worry about that right now. If you're focusing on this is like the thing to focus on. So another example down below this. Oh, that just runs it. This is going to sit here waiting forever because I'm asking for input and it, oh wait. Oh, it lets me put input. Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize that it had that ability. What exactly is the standard in object? Well, we can take a look at it. Is that what creates an input? The standard in object we can read it right here, right? So it says a handle to the standard input stream of a process. That's a very like sort of computer science-y way of saying that this is a special object that allows us to run functions that allow you to do something with standard in. And standard in is comes from like a Unix, Linux type thing where it's like, okay, information like data or whatever coming into whatever, like a program, a function, something. In this case, your program. So standard in this class, or I guess it's not a class, this struct allows you to run this read line. Read line basically says, ask the user for input and then stuff that input into the string that's like handed in here. And that's it. So, for example, let's add to this. I let my teacher like take that. So standard in prompts the input. Read line prompts the input. Standard in gives you an object that has the functions that allows you to prompt the input. So it's like it's a 1-2 step. Like we've got to first get the thing that allows us to do the work and then do the work. Tea Kettle Drone, hello. Not really sure where exactly the standard space lies. In practice, tends to be the command line. Maybe it's the shell as opposed to other IO endpoints. Yeah, I think it's because like you can do cool stuff with standard in, standard out. Like, you know, there as opposed to like more different standard out. There's also like standard air out. Or is it standard? It's standard air as opposed to standard out. Yeah, it's like standardized. It's standardized. Yeah. So, okay. For sake of composing programs together, yes, which is really big for Unix type things. So that way, basically your program is instantly compatible with like every other program on the planet, because you could run it and basically connect it to other programs so that the standard out of your program works with the standard in of another program, and bam, you got Lego pieces and they just all work. And it's great. It's actually one of the big things. Okay, so what do we get out of here? We know that out of readline we have this guess. So like this is not really helpful, right? Expected doesn't, readline returns a number, doesn't it? But that's not really helpful to us. We want the string. I guess there's other things you can do. So like we could like do stuff with that string. It's like let like lowercase what's other things that we might want to care about with this string? What's it called when you're trimming? So trimmed. So if I take this guess and I want to lowercase, so if I run to lowercase on it, to lowercase, it returns a new string. Notice that. It returns a new string. So as of right, nope, I wanted to stay in the browser. As of right now, inside of here is going to get the lowercase string, right? But there's other things we can do on strings. We can do something called trim. And trim is a nifty trick which removes white space around it. So let's say you had like a bunch of spaces when you put in your string, and then the actual string, and then more spaces, and then you hit return, you might have like a bunch of white space that you don't really care about. Trim takes care of that for us. What it does doesn't really matter that much, but if I do a dot trim here, so it's the string. So if I put in, let's say we start with, this is like hello, like that. Then to lowercase is now going to be like that. And then after trim, we're going to get hello. What is dot notation? This is dot notation. So it's basically the ability to run methods or get, parameters or properties or whatever off of the previous thing that was returned. So whatever is returned from this function is the input to this function. I see it. Lowercase the object, then applies the trim method on it. Yes, exactly. So instead of me having to say, let lowercase equals guess dot to lowercase, and then let trimmed equals lowercase dot trim, I could just do it all at once in one sort of like grouping of commands. And that's it. That's all it really is. Oh no, what happened? Oh, I hate the fact that it thinks that it's Nightbot thought that there was a URL, but unfortunately, Nightbot is a little bit strong. So sorry about that. I can read it though. Okay, so another thing that comes to mind was string new. Why isn't it string dot new yet used instead of colon colon? What's the significance of colon colon? So here comes the fun problem. How do we know how to access something off of the struct versus something off of the object that's created from the struct? That's the colon colon in this case. So I want to run new here, and I don't have an instance of a string yet. So to create one, I do string colon colon new. So I want to access the new function that's on the struct itself. But then when I have two lowercase, I don't want to access the two lowercase on the struct. I want to access the two lowercase on the instance of the struct. And the instance is the one that has the data inside of it. So if you think about like a, let's see, this is where I really wish I had like a whiteboard or something I can easily do stuff with. The struct itself is like meaningless. It's like if I handed you a template. Have you ever done OOP? It's a static method versus a method. Yeah, exactly. If you haven't done anything with that, I guess like another question, Alphabra, is this your first programming language? Are you like new to programming? Worth noting, I believe you could do string to lowercase my string instead of my string to lowercase. Okay, you've done Python previously. Okay, yeah. Okay, you learned a bit about structs and Rust. Think about like in Python. If you create a class, there's some methods in the class that you run on the class directly that don't care or need the data in the class, in the object. But some methods require the self to be set and there to be data there, so it can actually access self and work. Now, in Python, I believe that either of them dot works, right? Like you do dot in both cases. And in Rust, it forces you to use one in one case and use the other in the other case. That way, you don't accidentally call one function or the other. Or at least that's the theory. You can still accidentally call them. But the Rust Analyzer will usually yell at you if you try to do that. I don't think that you can actually call a string to lowercase like that. Let's find out. If I try to do like, let's say, let new string equals string to lowercase, and then like my string. So here we have spring and guest. Let's get like a from. I don't think I can do this. So if I try this, and then let's just do a debug. And we run this, we get an error. So no function or associated item named to lowercase found for this string. So the reason why you can tell that is any function in the documentation that has something like self. So it basically has a self of some kind, either a self, an ampersand self, and ampersand mute self. One of those three things. If you have any of them here as the first argument of the function slash method, then it can only be accessed via dot. This new here does not have that, so therefore it's accessed with colon colon. Now the error, if we take a look at the error, it's actually telling us that there is no two lowercase here for that. You've done it a few times for F32 methods occasionally. Well, each one is going to be different. You have to take a look at whether or not it it takes in that self or doesn't. If it doesn't take in the self, then then it's going to be colon colon. Later you'll learn about self and self. It'll be the same thing. One is the type and the other is the initialized member. Generally speaking, if you have a capitalized first letter, it's a type. And if you have a lowercase first letter, it's a instantiated object. It's a thing. Or it's a value. It is something. There's probably something on F32s that you can do and have access to. Let me go ahead and here, I'll just make that like a from empty. We'll bring this back. We'll do this, let it's trimmed. Okay, let me not worry about that. We'll do, this is gonna be, oh, nope. Let's debug guess out. So if I run this, you're upset, why? Because I forgot to, okay. So there is our hello, and then with the new one, I didn't have the trim on it. That's fine. Oh, you know what I could do? I could then, yeah, we could do this. That works. Well, let's do both. Oh, I can take ownership of guess. It's fine. I can take ownership of them both. Creates a temporary value which is freed while still in use. Uh-oh. Borrow later used here. Okay, hold on. I guess. Wait. Do they take ownership? Does two lowercase and trim take ownership? I didn't think they did. Trim takes a reference to self. Oh, and it returns a stir. Oh, well, that sucks. To uppercase and to lowercase returns a string. Oh, okay. So basically, I take this. Oh, I lose the guess. That's what it is. No, I don't lose the guess. So reference to guess gets used by two lowercase. Man, why do they have to make it harder for to do like simple examples like this? Okay, so colon and dot notation makes sense. You have to say chapter 2 in a book doesn't explain it well, or maybe it assumes some kind of systems programming. It's not really systems programming experience. It's programming experience with languages that have the dot notation. And fun fact, Python has dot notation. So you can actually go back to Python and play with that same exact thing. And you can use like something, dot something, dot something, dot something, dot something. And it works. And it works really well. Poria, hello. How are you doing today? Looked in one of your repos. You do it with F32 : clamp. Docs have self. Interesting. Clamp. F32 clamp. Is there more clamp methods? Oh, and what are you how are you calling it? Are you calling it with a thing? Yeah, there's only one clamp for an F32. I'm doing pretty good. Thank you very much. I bet it's because it takes in an own self. So you can pass it in anything that is an F32 here and sort of trick it into working just fine. So you could do, let me fix this first. So we have guess. So we take in the guess. I use that to create a new string, and then this becomes a stir as let's to owns this. We'll do okay, so that gives me, here's our guess, here's our trimmed, and then if I want one final thing, we do let our number equals F32 clamp, and then we pass it in a number, right? So like 15.3. What does clamp take? It's like something and then a minute and a max. So then I want to clamp it to 15.5, 16.0. So that should move it to a 15.5. And let's add in number. Yeah. So the only reason this works is because I've tricked it by handing it in an actual number, right? Like something that it thinks is self. So as long as it takes in a reference to the thing, then it kind of works. But that's not really like the intention of it. Really what you're supposed to do with this, is replace this. So like the this works, but is not the intended way to use clamp. If we did this 15.3, let's do an F32 so it knows what it is. Then we can do dot clamp and do 15.5, 16.0. This is how we're supposed to use methods that have a self in them. Okay, so that works there. And if we want to try that with the function, we can try that. So we can say like let, what was it? It was like a trim of two lowercase. So another lowercase equals, let's do string. So let's start with, so we have this guess, right? We own the guess. Let's try this again. So string to lowercase, and we're going to pass in a reference to guess like that. No function. Okay, so it and I wonder if that's a bug with self, with like self. It knows not to find it if there's a reference in the self, but it's okay with it if there's a, it's okay with it if it's a not reference. That makes me wonder if it is a bug with the compiler. Some tricky things about how things are exposed in string. I think that it's actually more of a, this shouldn't be allowed, and this should give you the exact same error that you get with this one. All right, let me share this out with you. How do I do that? Share. Permalink to the playground. Here we go. Copied. Oh, it's because to lowercase is a method from a deref as stir. Ooh. So it's not part of the string namespace. So if you figure out what namespace it is, you could probably pass and use it from that thing. But if you're interested in the in this code that I just sort of wrote there with all the comments, there that is. Also put that into the comments and to the description for the VOD. All right, it is 4:39. Let's go ahead and clean this up. So in our middleware, ooh, don't want to add it in with that .env. Okay, so this will be an initial commit here. And I will do a GitHub run, no, GitHub repo create. Okay, that's up there. Let's also go to our articles. And we're going to be, okay, so we are starting to write article and push those up too. Okay, so everything's backed up. Everything's up there. Okay, that's what it was. So you think you can do stir to lowercase. Okay, so that's what it is. So it's basically you have to do it off of the other thing. There's a part of me that prefers namespace method object because you don't like objects having methods, functional brain. That's not how most people are going to read that though. Like most people prefer to run it on the object because it's like really, that's like the convention in like both Rust and also many other languages that have sort of like object style code. So if you go in for like if you go in for any kind of code review or like trying to get hired, then you might get dinged on that. So be careful. Like you can do it in your own projects, but be careful about doing that in like other people's like projects, because they'll probably sort of like not like that. Although maybe Haskellers would love that, and maybe you can get away with it in a Haskell project, and everybody would love it. Okay, so this is all pushed up properly. Everything's good. Okay, so we are good to go. All right. So with that all said and done, I'm going to go ahead and bring the stream to a close. I will be back tomorrow morning at around 7 a.m. Mountain Time. We'll be continuing on the middleware lesson. We're sort of like writing. We're at the beginning of writing the actual like project, and so like the code is going to be based on. We're going to do some experiments, remind myself how the middleware all works, because it's been a while since I've done it, and then we can write the article on it. So anyways, thank you everybody again for hanging out, and I will see you all next time. Bye.